Realme X7 Pro 5G. Experience the future. Realme, dare to leap.
We're back here on ESPN Cricket for Auction Day, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. The accelerated part of the auction is about to begin. So this is about franchises submitting up to 10 players each, and a quick round of names that'll go by, and that'll finish off proceedings for this year's auction. But we've had so much to talk about. We're already, about 4 hours into the auction today, and it's already past midnight in Melbourne, where Brad Hodge joins us. Ajit Agarkar is not too far from where the auction is going on. You could hear the auctioneer's hammer go down in Chennai, and Gaurav Sundararaman is there as well. So we'll just get thoughts from everybody. Let me go to Brad Hodge first up. It's nearing it's past half past midnight, I think, in Melbourne, Hodgie. And I don't know how active Australian cricket is on Twitter and on the news right now, with Jai Richardson commanding the price they did, Glenn Maxwell, Riley Meredith. I think they're all still up in your part of the world, aren't they? I think Hodgie's very much up. We just need to figure his internet.
Just having a bit of trouble with the internet. I think the fast
No worries.
I think he's not.
Hodgie, come on.
Sorry, Leslie, I think the fast bowlers have nailed the internet.
Yeah. No, good chance that's happened. I think I've just got you back now. Otherwise, I'm going to ask those fast bowlers to just sponsor the highest bandwidth connection in all of Melbourne. They certainly can afford it now.
Yes. Sorry, mate. Yeah,
I think Hodgie, I'll have you just cut off and join back just to try and
bear with me. I'll have to.
Yeah, we'll just wait for Brad Hodge to just get back. I'll come
Cool.
to Ajit Agarkar in the meantime. We're going to look back at what we've seen today. We've had a few minutes to just let this sink in, but the general reaction just tends to be could you have predicted this sort of serious spending on fast bowlers, Ajit, that haven't been tested in the IPL?
I'm not surprised. I think we've seen it before. I mean, you could take overseas guys, yes, but even someone like a Unadkat, when teams want to fill those spots up, you're looking for the best options possible, and they're always going to be a hierarchy in what those best options are, and accordingly you try and fill those spots in. So when there are 2 or 3 teams bidding for you, the price is always going to go high. So I'm not surprised. I'm actually glad that the fast bowlers are actually getting the value that they deserve. On the big auction next year, things might be different, but at least at the moment, they're having their moment in the sun, which is nice. And it is an important part of the game. I think a lot of franchises have realized it, how important that is, and it's not just about having good batsmen in a team.
Yeah, before we go to Hodgie, I'll just come to this point of Umesh Yadav, seasoned Indian pacer, going at his base price for 1 crore. There aren't too many Indian pacers, but there just seems to be either a perception or a desire from franchises that they'd rather go crazy money almost to the overseas fast bowler, even if he hasn't played in the IPL, rather than the Indian fast bowler who we've seen enough of.
Yeah, is that for me, Ronak? Yeah, it's an interesting observation.
Please carry on, Hodgie.
Yeah, I never thought about it actually, but you're absolutely spot on. Yeah, what makes Jai Richardson or Riley Meredith more attractive than Umesh Yadav? It's a really interesting point you make. I'm not sure why. I'm not sure the attraction. But yeah, there can't be that much of a difference between Umesh Yadav and Riley Meredith. And I would have thought local players have a lot more weight than overseas players. So yeah, it's an interesting observation.
Ajit, you want to weigh in on that?
Yeah, one you can understand they went for, whether it was Meredith or Jai Richardson. Jai Richardson probably you'll go for because he's got a bit more experience. But to spend over 20 crores, I think they've spent on 2 guys. 2 guys who are quite untested, never played in the IPL. So sometimes it's hard to understand, but every team has got their plan. They perhaps have the Indian batsmen that that can look after the batting, or that they feel they can look after the batting, and they want overseas seam bowlers. But then you've gone for 2 overseas seamers who are absolutely inexperienced. You don't quite know what you might get from them in the IPL, which is such a high pressure tournament. So it surprises you, but like I said, maybe the teams had their eye on getting overseas players, and that's what they've gone for. But sometimes it's hard to understand because Umesh is an experienced international.
Yeah, I mean, Ankit Rajput, no takers for him. Tushar Deshpande, you thought had a couple of good games last year, but found his way out. GS, anything that you're observing in terms of why there's such a big appetite for overseas fast bowlers, even though they're inexperienced or untested, as against, say, like, say, an Umesh Yadav?
I guess it's because Umesh has been there for quite some time. He's had good power play numbers, but his death numbers have been pretty. He's not been above par. So when you look at all these things, that people may just want to try someone new, and maybe it's just 1 year. They would like to see try the new guys and see how they work in these conditions. And if they're really clocking 140 plus, and if they end up being revelation, then that augurs very well for the franchise, because once you lock in that fast bowler slot, then you can work around a team around them.
Okay, fair enough. Now we're going to go just team by team, just have a look at what's the shopping they've done so far in this major part of the auction, and just see what areas they still need to plug in the accelerated part. So let's scan through them. Let's take our first team. We'll probably start alphabetically. So let's go Chennai Super Kings. They were in business rather early. They did show desire for Glenn Maxwell, when good money for him, nearly broke the bank, and then decided that they didn't want to. So Moeen Ali was someone that they picked up first up in the day. They then went and got the similar skill set from an Indian point of view in K. Gautam, and they've paid between Gautam and Moeen Ali just a little over 16 crore from their balance purse of 19.9. They've also picked up Cheteshwar Pujara, a decision or a buy that was received with enormous warmth in the IPL auction room, and everyone applauded that call from CSK. So those are the three they've gone with: Moeen, Gautam, and Pujara. They will obviously have Suresh Raina back. Robin Uthappa was traded before this auction. G-Stats, quick one on what they're looking for in the accelerated part.
Actually, I don't see any gap. I don't think they'll go for anybody. Okay. I think the auction is done unless they really want to. They have some domestic talent.
Yes, Ajit.
I said one more spinner, maybe.
One more spinner.
Yeah, maybe. Who knows? They know something we don't. So yeah. Otherwise, I think they're done.
All right. Ajit,
just not thinking about it. Moeen plus K. Gautam, like you said, it's over 16 crores. Maxwell was 14 odd crores they went for. So maybe they could have just gone only for Maxwell. So that's how the auction works, though. But yeah.
Interesting. Ajit?
Yeah, no, I don't see them looking for anything more. I mean, they look a lot stronger on paper than what they did last year. I think UAE caught them out a little bit. The conditions. Hopefully in India, a lot of their spin bowlers come into play again, and they are a different team. The batting also looks a lot more stable. We don't quite know. Suresh Raina has not really played, so we don't know. His record is fantastic, but he's back. Ruturaj Gaikwad obviously showed a lot of promise towards the end of that. So they've got options now, and they with all that experience, and if the conditions do suit them, they'll again be a formidable team.
Okay. Haji, just looking at that list, I mean, I don't know if it was a point of contention for this auction or whether it'll be a bigger discussion for the next auction. This whole thing of getting a potential leader, someone who could even see the team after MS Dhoni. Who's to say he's done? He could very well have 2, maybe 3 IPLs in him. But whether there could have been a case to pick maybe an experienced overseas guys. Steve Smith is not someone they went aggressively for. But other than that, anything that you can think of for Chennai?
Well, they got Faf du Plessis as well there, so he's strong leader for South Africa. They might look for a top order bat just to back up Faf, just in case there's some injury there. So they haven't got a lot of international top order experience. So just with Faf, Mo and Ellie can play up the top, but more of a middle order player. So they might just go for a little cheap, international.
Yeah, sure. You can keep that out. They've got a little around about 3 crore in their kitty, so they could pick up maybe a player or two at base price in the accelerated part. One player who's played for CSK in the past is actually Sam Billings. I think he's got the tweet of the day for me, and I think Ajit Agarkar will enjoy it. Just put up that Sam Billings tweet in a second. That's as good as it gets, isn't it? His girlfriend turns to him and goes, "Why aren't you a bowler?" Ajit.
It's happened finally. I mean, it's taken 100 and something years of cricket or 200 years of cricket. I think it's happened finally.
Did you ever have that from Fatim through your times? Though, why are you a bowler?
It was the other way around. All those ice packs and anti-inflammatories was the other way around. But it's also the sign that teams are now or franchises are not now, for a while now, recognize the importance of having good bowlers, at least 3 good bowlers in a setup, and then having a 4th and a 5th decent one. And you can see what Mumbai Indians have done. They've got a fantastic attack, and they keep on winning.
Okay, let's go to Delhi Capitals. Have a look at how they've shopped so far in this auction and whether they'd be interested in any more departments in the accelerated phase. So they started off by picking up Steve Smith, a little over 2 crore. Ajit Agar recalled that just before the auction, in fact, began. Umesh Yadav is someone they've picked up at base price for 1 crore as well. Outside of that, you've got Tom Curran for decent money, 5.25 crore for Tom Curran, and you've picked up a few local players in Vishnu Vinod, Ripal Patel, Manimaran Siddharth, Lukman Meriwala. So that adds to the depth of that squad. Vishnu Vinod, of course, an Indian keeper. So Delhi Capitals fans would have wanted an option for Rishabh Pant like they needed in the last season. Ajit, Steve Smith, someone they picked up. They went for a lot of players for big money and couldn't get there. They went for Jameson, they went for Jai Richardson, they went for Meredith, and were outbid on all of those. Just your thoughts on what Delhi have done so far and whether they need any more gaps to fill?
Yeah, I mean, if they could have got a all-rounder, overseas all-rounder. I mean, they got Tom Curran late,
Yes.
as a backup for whether it's Toynis, whether it's Rabada, whether it's Nokia, who are the first choice, obviously. Steve Smith's an interesting one. Could bat at the top of the order. Will certainly provide the leadership qualities that they need. I think there are a lot of, I mean, apart from Shikhar, I mean, Ajinkya is there, but he doesn't play regularly for them. Apart from Shikhar, there's no real sort of experience, or a lot of the other guys are fairly new, if you like. I mean, they're 2-3 years into their career, whether it's Shreyas, whether it's Prithvi Shaw, even Rishabh's fairly inexperienced in that sense. So I felt that's the one thing if they lack, and Steve Smith might provide that. They tried for a few all-rounders. I think Umesh is an interesting buy. I mean, I know not a lot of people, he's not a favorite of a lot of people, but he can get the job done, especially with Nokia and Rabada, who can also bowl at the death. He might just provide something with the new ball if he fits in the combination for a particular game. So it's always good to have experienced players, and especially when you're looking at one season. Again, we keep emphasizing on it. There'll be a lot of these guys who might go back in the auction next year. Then you rather have experience in your lineup, and I think they've got enough of it now.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you think Umesh Yadav would push Ishan Sharma and maybe Avesh Khan for that one Indian seamer spot, which Delhi couldn't quite figure out who to play in all of last season. Haji, just looking at that team, they couldn't get those first choice fast bowlers they would have wanted. They decided that there's going to be only so much that they would spend on a player because they bailed out of a lot of these high bids fairly early on. But that looks an all right team. Any other departments they need to squeeze in?
No, I think they're done. I think they can pack up and go home. I don't think they'll be too concerned. They've got Rabada, they've got Norji, which is good pace variations. Wokes, who missed last year, is also a pretty handy cricketer as well. So they got all bases covered. Tom Curran in to cover Marcus Stoinis if need be, and I think Steve Smith is actually quite an intelligent selection, really. So just to complement those younger players is really important.
GS, Delhi with 4.15 crore. Anything else to do? One overseas slot still left, or other one?
I think that's the slot they'll go for, a fast bowler maybe, because they tried for Jai, they tried for Jameson, they couldn't get it. So obviously now they have one more fast bowler whom they can, in case Rabada or Nokia are not available or they get injured, they may want that express fast bowler. So not sure who's available. We need to see who they've signed up for, but they might buy one of those.
Or might look for a top order batsman. I mean, Steve Smith they've got, or someone explosive. I think Hales went. Jason Roy was with them. So there are. I mean, those are just two names that have come to me right now. But that sort of option that they might look at, I'm sure.
It's interesting though that the South Africa-Pakistan series is a question mark on the availability of the South African players. You've got Rabada and Nokia, both of whom might be part of the South African setup. So we'll have to just wait and see if they look for another fast bowler in the event of unavailability for either of those two. Let's go to our next team now, and we'll just have a look at Punjab Kings, the newly named or rechristened Punjab Kings, and they've been very busy at this auction. We expected them to, coming into it at over 53 crore, and they've picked up a big money signing in Jai Richardson for 14 crore. David Malan was their first pick, number one T20I ranked batsman from England, 1.5 crore for him, and they've paid 8 crore for Riley Meredith, who will feature for the first time in the IPL. 5.25 crore for Shah Rukh Khan, and Moses Hendricks also at a decent clip at 4.2 crore. So that's the additions made to the Punjab Kings side. Haji, you can go first on that. They've still got some money. What do they need to fill in?
Who knows where they're going to spend it? It's interesting. I think they've done well with Jai Richardson. Actually, I think that's a real good purchase. They needed some pace and variation to match Mohamed Shami. They've done that. They've got some X factor in Rolling Meredith. So, although it's an expensive price, I think they've got what they wanted. I'd be still a little bit concerned with the batting department, although they've got some great local talent. I'm still not sold on, Nicholas Puran's excellent. Chris Gale, we know, is a match winner, but for how long and how many games? Dawood Malan's a serviceable player. He's not a massive hitter. It's just that late to middle order, which is still a question mark for me in Punjab's lineup.
G-Stats, Sarfaraz Khan, they picked up Shah Rukh Khan for that sort of role. Huda, is that enough, or are they still looking for that middle order?
It looks enough. It looks enough, right? But, the point is that when you come up and you got to try and whack Rabada out of the park, that's the hard question, right? That's so, if you haven't played IPL before or faced the quality of Rabada and you're expected to get 12 and over, it's the untested person just is going to struggle.
Yep. GS?
Yeah, again, they have one overseas slot. I'm pretty sure they'll pick up someone. And preferably, I think, a batting all-rounder, just to have that balance. Again, in case of injuries, you need to just plan for all these things. You never know availability, injuries, what can happen. So you just need to be prepared. So just one overseas backup, I think they're done. They have a very, very decent Indian core compared to a lot of other teams.
Ajit, are they looking for an experienced seamer?
No, I don't think they can spend any more money on the seamer. They've just spent 22 crores on these two guys. They better play them. Sometimes it might work. Jai Richardson's a good bowler, so it's not like he might be untested in the IPL, but we've seen him do well in international cricket, which is what you want. Meredith, of course, a little bit different, but if he's got raw pace, who knows? I think a batsman is certainly an overseas batsman. And like GS said, they're covered, with Indian batsmen. But are those reliable batsmen? I think that's why they've got one more uncapped player as well. Who tongs, who Shah Rukh Khan. So that's the area they're not quite sure. Enriques they've bought who does bat in the middle or middle to lower order, but that's probably the slot, because top order they look quite settled with Rahul, Mayank Agarwal, Nicholas Puran, and Chris Gale if he's fit enough. But if Chris is not fit, then you probably want to look at another overseas batting option, a power hitter really.
Okay, let's go to Kolkata Knight Riders. Now, they weren't expected to be the busiest team today. They came in with the bare minimal along with Sunrisers in the purse left, 10.75 crore. They've picked up Shakib Al Hasan in the early parts of the auction for a little over 3 crore. And other than that, they've just added Sheldon Jackson, who has been part of the franchise in the past. So that was at a base price of 20 lakhs. They did try to go for K. Gautam. They were outbid by the likes of CSK on that one. But Ajit, sticking with KKR, they came in with a pretty solid side. They've picked up Shakib. You think that's a decent money? They still have a little bit of, or in fact, they now have a decent amount of balance purse left going into the accelerated auction. Any departments they need to look at?
No, I think that the 11 or 12 guys have always been very good. Most of them match winners. It's just I think they've underachieved in terms of performances for whatever reason. Last year there were some issues with captaincy, and then they changed midway. They'll have a settled captain from the start in Morgan this time. They should really be doing better with that team. I think Shakib is again a really good buy and at a fairly decent price for the experience and the performances that he's had in the IPL. So they might want to add some sort of bench strength if they really feel in terms of batting or top order batting. But I can't see any holes that their team has. There's experience, there's quality, there's a lot of T20 match winners in there. And if they play to their potential, that is certainly always one of the teams to watch out for.
Yeah, GS, KKR, decent money into the accelerated part.
I think they just need a replacement for Russell, a backup for Russell rather. And Naren started with Shakib, and they might want a pace bowling all-rounder or some power hitter there. Because, again, Russell and Naren, we really don't know what we're going to get every season. So otherwise, they usually go with a thin squad, so they're not going to go for too many names. So let's see which player they pick.
Yeah, I'm interested to see who's the backup for Russell. Who fits that category? Backup for Andre Russell, Haji.
No one. There isn't one. So that's why he's so important to that side. He's probably the most important player in the IPL. How do you bowl to him? And he's bowling as well. If he's up and rolling, bowling 2 overs, and more importantly, economically, he's a huge player. You
Yep.
can't replace him.
I mean, not too many that we've seen that have come up so far. They've taken Carlos Brathwaite in the past for that sort of role. Whether they're interested in a player that has that skill set, we'll find out. But KKR, you'd expect them to continue being a bit dull, so to speak, in this auction. They've got most misses covered. Let's go to Mumbai Indians. That's a team that you expected also to not have much to do today, but they came in with one agenda to try and fill in that overseas seamer slot. They did not succeed in breaking their balance purse for Chris Morris. Eventually were outbid for Morris's services. But what we do see is the likes of Adam Milne and Nathan Coulter-Nile return to the Mumbai Indians setup. Coulter-Nile at a lesser price than what they released him for. And Piyush Chawla is a pretty good option for that position to threat with Rahul Chahar. Haji, that looks a pretty good side already. They have a little bit of still left. Are they still looking for an overseas seamer? Are they looking for any other position to fill up?
The only thing I can think of is if they want to just entertain an overseas player to bowl to their, top order players in the nets. That's the only thing. And because, there's such a good settled side, right? They got they're 14 players that are just guns. So whoever you pick up is just there to carry the drinks. So that might be something. If you can pick up a quick and they can service the players in the nets, then that's a positive as well.
Yep, GS, all the chit-chat of potentially picking up Arjun Tendulkar, who has bowled to the Mumbai Indians in the nets. You never know. Could happen right now.
Yeah, he will come in definitely, and they still have 2 slots left. I'm not sure they're not going to leave the overseas slots just like that. They've always gone with 8 overseas players, and they'll have 2 more slightly cheaper names in mind, and they'll pick them up.
Yeah, I was surprised when they actually released Pattinson, thinking he had a good season. Maybe just go back to him. They like to go back to players they know. McClanagan's come and gone and brought back. Pattinson could be someone they just take back if no one wants him.
Yeah, why not? I would have picked him ahead of Coulter-Nile, really, but
Sure.
but that's just how I feel. Are you going to pick up? Okay, Pattinson's probably the only name now, but is anyone that they are going to pick up going to be better than what they already have? I'm not sure. So, like Haji said, it's just going to be to complete the squad or just have some sort of backup or just have somebody to bowl in the nets. Good quality in the nets. So. Because they're such a good team, and it's what CSK did over years. Had most of the bases covered or had most of the 10 or 11 guys ready, and then just kept adding 1 or 2 guys in the auction. Piyush Chawla is a very interesting buy. I think it's a really good buy for them. If he does well with all the experience that he has, it'll end up being a good buy for them.
Yeah, Gaurav corrects me on this. JS Pattinson is not part of the auction list, is he?
Yeah, he opted out for that. So so they have to look at someone else.
What a shame. Imagine if he would have been in it. Look at what's happening to fast bowlers. Pattinson, Mitchell Stark are putting their feet up saying they don't want to play, right? I can't imagine what would have happened if Mitchell Stark was part of this auction. The kind of money that's gone to Jai Richardson and Kyle Jameson with no disrespect meant. But anyway, let's go to the Rajasthan Royals. Cover that as well. They've been busy. They came in with a significant balance purse of 37.85. That was second highest after Punjab. And they've spent some serious money on Chris Morris. Record signing now in IPL auction history, 16.25 crore. Good money also spent on Shivam Dubey at 4.4. They've picked up Mustafizur Rahman at 1 crore base price and a couple of local players in Chetan Sakaria, the Saurashtra left-arm seamer, and Karyappa, the mystery spinner, at his base price. So that's what they've done so far. Any departments they need to plug in, GS, going into the accelerated part?
Their bowling looks very good. I like their bowling now. They have Archer, Fizz, Ty. But that Archer, Morris, Stokes, Butler are going to start. So they just have to maybe, again, just fill in those slots with backups. None of these players whom they're going to pick now are going to start. So hopefully they just plug that. But good stuff that they plug their bowling, which was a big problem last season.
Yeah. Have they got the answer to that in Morris, Ajit? They're looking for someone else still?
Yeah, I think it just makes their overseas sort of 4 guys really strong, sort of match winners, all 4 of them. So No, looks a good squad. They played well in patches. Steve Smith had a bit of a difficult IPL last time. Uh, this time they've looked at it different way. Chris Morris is a good buy. I know it's a lot of money, and but if he can stay fit and play the entire tournament, Karthik Tyagi impressed me last time, and with that experience, he'll be better this season as well. The Riyan Parag's another promising guy. Mayank Markande, not many people talk of, but that's another option.
Sure.
Sanjay Samson, of course, hopefully he can get some consistency because he's a hell of a player. And then Shivam Dubey can actually turn out to be a interesting selection, actually a good selection if obviously if he performs. But that gives them that all-rounder, lower middle order sort of
Yeah.
player.
Looks okay, Haji, to you? No major glares?
No, they've made some good additions there. I'm just interested, Mustafizur. What's his form been like? Why is he only commanding a 1 crore price? What's he been doing lately?
It's
Available after the 19th of May, so he has to be part of the international duty. So maybe that's why.
Has he got any form behind? Has he shown? I haven't seen. So
he
just
did
very
play.
been, is it, he come onto the IPL scene so good.
Well, he was part of the ODI series against the West Indies recently and bowled quite well in the ODIs. Played the Test match too, so he's available for all formats. Probably gives us an indication of the fitness that Mustafizur is showing if he's being at least selected for all formats. But I think it's fair to say he hasn't quite been the same after that injury when he was so good for the Sunrisers for 4 or 5 years back. He played for the Mumbai Indians 1 year and they couldn't find a place for him either in the regular 11s, let go of him. So interesting to see how they go with Mustafizur Rahman as a backup option. Moving on to Royal Challengers Bangalore. And just as I speak, we'll come to that in a bit, but Dan Christian's commanding a decent price. We'll come to that in a second, but let's go to Bangalore and just have a look at what they've done. They've been very busy. They've picked up Maxwell for 14.25 to partner the likes of Kohli and De Villiers with the bat at Bangalore. They've also got Kyle Jameson for really big money, 15 crore. Broke the bank on him literally. And other than that, Mohammad Azharuddin at a base price, Rajat Patidar, so a couple of local players as well for Royal Challengers Bangalore. Sachin Baby also joins this side. He's been part of RCB in the past. Ajit, what do they still need to fill? We could still expect surprises from Bangalore. You could never rule it out.
What do they need to fill? I mean, again, it's the same sort of if Jameson sort of and Maxwell provide that lower order hitting ability, then they become a formidable team because the top order generally is pretty good. That's I think, at least my opinion, that's always been their issue. They haven't had enough good quality sort of number 5 and 6, and then AB's got to go and do the job there, and then they've missed out on perhaps batting him slightly higher, where he can have a bigger impact if he plays more balls. So that's always been a situation. Whether Maxwell can do that, only time will tell us. But again, they've put so much in 2 players. One, Maxwell, who's such an experienced player but doesn't have a great record in the IPL, and Kyle Jameson. Everyone's been talking about it, but the amount of money that they put in for someone who's not played T20 cricket or as much T20 cricket, it's again, when you bowl at the Chinnaswamy, it doesn't. Okay, he's had a great start to his international career, particularly in Test. But with that kind of pressure, it's always going to be a bit of a question mark. So if he does well, then they start start filling the gaps a bit better. If those 2 players do well, if they don't have great IPLs, then it's almost back to saying that it depends on Virat Kohli and AB de Villiers, isn't it?
Yeah, what's happening at the moment is Dan Christian's in a fairly fierce bidding war. Bangalore and Kolkata are in a bidding war for Dan Christian. And Bangalore, therefore, are showing an appetite for Dan Christian as well. Whether that tells us something about what they think they still need to fill in, Haji, whether it's some experience for the uncertainty of Kyle Jameson. There's still a lot of money that you put in there. They surely have to play him. And Maxwell as well. But Dan Christian had an excellent big bash. And right now, he looks like even at this stage of his career, teams want him.
Yeah, he's a successful T20 player around the world. So, you talk about experience, he's got it. Interesting, when you look through that RCB side, if they do land with Dan Christian, it's hard to find a spot. So, that's the thing. If you're commanding these high prices, you want to find yourself in the first 11 straight away. So, I would have thought that Kane Richardson, Kyle Jamieson, De Villiers, and even Daniel Sams or Glenn Maxwell. So it's hard when you have all these good players. You can often get confused about what your best 11 is. So
That's
They'd be
interesting. Yes, Ajit.
they'd be hoping that Washington Sundar, with all the success that he's had in recent times with India,
Sure.
Mohammad Siraj, those guys will step up their game and then become key players for them. Then the team starts looking better because now they've got an experience of another year of IPL plus some international experience with good performances.
Yeah, as it turns out, they're done for the day. They've spent 4.8 crores and they've secured Dan Christian. That's a bit of a surprise to me because I thought Kolkata, like Gaurav pointed out, we're going to try and get that Andre Russell back up, that skill set, and Dan Christian almost fits that bill perfectly. And they had more in their kitty, did Kolkata at that time. Bangalore, with a remainder of 5.55 crore, have spent 4.8 of that on Daniel Christian. So they're left with just 75 lakhs now for the remainder of the auction. So Dan Christian's gone to Bangalore. GS, can you make sense of that one?
They did bid for Moises Henrique, so it looks like they wanted a all-rounder for sure as a backup for Jameson. Like Haji said, these are all backup players. There's no way of fitting him in case, again, in case some injury or a slow wicket or some, I don't know. If the situation arises, they just need to play Dan Christian. It's very surprising. Dan Christian, way back in 2011, was sold for $900,000 to Deccan Chargers. And now, almost 10 years later, again, he gets picked. A lot of, maybe it's because of the COVID situation where the BBL was one of the bigger leagues which was held, and lack of T20Is, lack of many matches. So people have just gone with maybe experience and people of those who have done recently well. So I guess playing in the BBL is a huge factor this season.
Okay, I'm just going to get back to Ajit on this because of the fact that we've got Christian as well. I don't know if you felt as an RCB player that you've got your bases covered with the ball. Kane Richardson and Adam Zampa, Daniel Sams traded in, along with the Indian contingent of Siraj Saini and Yuzvendra Chahal. And therefore, what they've seemed to spend more on, Ajit, is services of Maxwell. Jameson, yes, but again, such an unknown variable. They've added Dan Christian to that, but I don't think Christian's going to get a start in this team.
No, it's probably backup for AB, I think. So
Yeah.
I don't. It's can we put up the squad, please, if it's
Yeah, let's
possible?
get the RCB squad up, shall we?
Yeah, but it's very difficult to see. I think, like GS said, it's just backup, and it's good quality backup or experienced backup, if you like. And he's been in good form at the moment, Dan Christian. So, but I can't see where he's going. I mean, there's Felipe. There's you'll want ideally have to play one seamer now, and Glenn Maxwell and AB de Villiers. Zampa does well for them. So unless they play Dan Christian as another all-rounder with Kyle Jameson and play Maxwell and AB de Villiers, that's the other way they might look at it. But I'm not so sure at the moment whether he'll find a spot at least in the early part of the tournament in the 11.
One thing, Ronak, whichever team Christian plays for usually ends up winning their league. They won. He's been a kind of I won't say mascot. He's been part of various winning franchises.
I'm going to let you have this. Carry on. Tell us what he's done.
You're asking me?
Yeah, yes, go on. Give me this list.
Yeah, he won for Nottinghamshire. Now he won with Sydney Sixers. He generally is part of. He played for TKR last in the CPL and they won. So who knows? Maybe that's why RCB have gone.
That's it. That's exactly it. That's what we need to really break the internet now with the amount of Bangalore fans that tune in to watch us. Yeah, it'd be great if Dan Christian is the lucky charm that RCB need. Maybe he won't play a game and RCB will still win the IPL. You never know. That's where we're like.
Sorry, it is again going to come down to how their Indian players perform. I think.
Absolutely.
I mean, they've always had strong overseas players. It's the Indian players, apart from Virat Kohli, really, who haven't been strong enough for RCB. If they can do that now, they'll obviously be a good team because they've got such strong overseas guys.
All right,
and of course.
Yeah, let's have a quick look at the Sunrisers Hyderabad. The last team, they've been almost hard. They've just gone completely under the radar. If they left this auction table right now or auction room, I don't know how many people would notice it. The only addition that Sunrisers have actually made is Suchit for base price of 30 lakhs. They came in with 22 players already, in fairness. So they're a huge squad going into this. And they've not been able to get K. Gautam, who they tried to pay good money for. Other than that, I can't think of anyone else that they've gone for. But Haji, Sunrisers came in just to fill up the numbers, I guess. They to do.
Took a seat at the table, didn't they? That's all they've
Yeah.
done today. They just had to paint their table orange, and they just sat there. That's basically what's happened. So, look, that's the way it can roll. They're obviously pretty confident in their squad, aren't they? So, they've been successful for a number of years now, or strong, competitive, always made the finals. So, they've got a good, well-balanced unit. They know what they want to achieve. So, I don't think they need to disrupt that methodology at all.
I mean, in fairness, Ajit, they did it particularly well getting to the playoffs last year with the amount of injuries that they had. And they've essentially, if everyone's fit, that's a pretty good squad. They've even retained Jason Holder, who came in as the replacement for Mitchell Marsh. They've got both those players there. So they've got backups for a lot of places. And it's hard to displace their overseas guys. Warner, Rashid Khan, it's hard to get rid of them.
Yeah, Johnny Bairstow, Williamson, name the guys. No, I can't see why they would want to waste any more money or time unless there is a standout option that they find. It'll only be about having a couple of Indian players just to have as backup, just in case needed. But you're never going to find any Indian players in the auction who are going to be better than the ones you already have. Bhuvaneshwar Kumar hopefully is back for them, who is such a key, who they missed in the last IPL or majority of the last IPL. No, again, just a settled team, which you don't have to really do too much with.
All right, fair enough. There are some additions that are happening in the accelerated process. Fabian Allen's been picked up by Punjab. Liam Livingston's gone to Rajasthan Royals. So we'll round off all this at what will be a final show on this auction day. So big thank you to Ajit Agarkar, Gaurav Sundararaman, and Brad Hodge. I hope Ajit can stay up. I think there's a tonic or two that he needs to just charge himself with if he is to join us for one more show. Ajit, you up for it?
Yeah, man. I'll be there.
Just about by the barest of margins, Ajit hangs on. Thank you to all these fine gentlemen. We'll be back with them on ESPN Cricket for Auction Day, powered by Realme X7 5G and X7 Pro 5G. So we'll see you then.
Realme X7 Pro 5G. Experience the future. Realme, dare to leap.